Hello and welcome to round 3 with blue-black summoning. The first thing I kind of thought about in this match is, after mulliganing to this hand, the first hand is just a no-lander, why is my blue-black deck having worse mana than my Jeskai deck? And the allied mana in this format's real sketchy. I think that Oath and Niso is super huge to the green-white decks even coming close to functioning last season. Very good draw, and from there, our opponent is playing red-black zombies, a traditionally bad matchup for the control decks, but I have summonings which can go over the top, and I also have shorted them by Haunted Dead, and I'm pretty capable of keeping them from getting anywhere good. And we'll see that in a minute. So my opponent tries to fuel back up with some swamps, getting discarded. And they fire off their second reunion that I know about, and I'm able to spell shrivel it to deprive them of cards, even though they are discarding a Haunted Dead. It takes them a significant amount of resources to get to that point. No need to fire the Murderer, and I want to fire it after the summonings to actually get creatures on the battlefield. And also a perfect murder target right there. And so I anticipate, and I end up seeing a Glimmer, which I take because I want to, or sorry, an Anticipate, which I take over Choked Estuary. Spoiler alert, the next one sees a Glimmer. The Anticipate here over the Estuary, I don't really want to have my card just be like one spell, a summoning, and a tap land. I don't think I'm going to efficiently fight back from that. I want to anticipate into, if I draw an untapped land, I can just summonings, and then I have 2 spells to start going off. If I don't draw an untapped land, I can anticipate into the untapped land, and it's pretty close to the same situation, even though I'm taking a copter hit. And though now I've drawn Grasp, it's almost exactly the same. I take the Glimmer here because I feel like I want to fire the Grasp on the copter to slow down the beats. I've got time, and I just want to be in as good of a position to fire off the summonings as possible. As much action after. It's a little greedy, but well, you're going to find a land sometime, like right on top, for example. So I resolve summonings, and my opponent, the Magic Online replay, gets a little unhappy at this point. Oh, wow. It actually worked this time around. The last time I tried to replay, the game just kind of stopped doing what it's supposed to do, didn't bring back the Haunted Dead. Just a lot of weird stuff happened. But I take the Fiery Temper, take the attack. See if I can actually progress. In general, there's not a ton of huge decisions after this point of the game. So I just, I think I was supposed to Glimmer in combat there to try and hit a 2-mana spell so I could block the Insolent Neonate, like an Anticipate or a Grasp for the Spirit. But it's not huge. I don't really care about blocking. 8 felt pretty safe. I don't want to block the Haunted Dead because I want to be as far ahead as possible when I enable my opponent to Prized Amalgam. And I can afford to take a couple chip shots. The blue-black deck, or the red-black zombies deck, is not that burn heavy. And sure, Disintegration, whatever, see if I care. Great that I get to do that without there being an instant. So I shipped this, kept this, drew an island anyways. And I get to fire on the Neonate. I want a creature on the battlefield, and I want to attack with it. And I want to minimize my opponent's decisions with the Neonate in terms of being able to discard a relevant spell. So they've got an Amalgam. Again, another reason to not block their Dork. I believe the definition of what's going to happen here is business time. I'm going to lock my opponent out of creatures, put 5 power on the battlefield, and just start clocking them. Again, no reason to block the Haunted Dead because I want to keep them off of returning Amalgam, give them the least amount of power possible. Transgress is one of the best draws, and I make a mistake here. I see my opponent's hand. I'm just like, oh, Haunted Dead, that's the thing I should take immediately with Transgress. But I should actually take the Fiery Temper here, because the only way the Haunted Dead is ending up in my opponent's just ending up doing anything is if they cast it. I have the interactive spell to beat that if they cast it. Um, so they now have a Fiery Temper, but they're multiple hits away from it doing anything. They're dead in 2 attacks. This is relatively straightforward. I gave my opponent an angle to win, but I get to shrivel their Fiery Temper. Actually, I don't think I did give my opponent an angle to win, because I can block here and all their creatures bar the 1 come into play tapped, and then they still have 7 power coming in, which is lethal. Okay, great. That's where it is. But I definitely should have taken the Fiery Temper so I could shrivel down a Haunted Dead. But doesn't really matter. 10 power of Construct tokens finishes the job, even despite drawing a million lands after the fact. Okay, so sideboarding. Just to quickly talk to that, I opted to remove all the Ruinous Pass first. Just the Sorcerer Speed removal spell isn't going to do anything. 7 mana to Shriek Maul is not where I want to be. I cut a spell shrivel. Multiples are kind of awkward because by that time my opponent might actually be casting spells to get anywhere. I cut a Murder, spot removal, don't want a ton of it. And I cut a Scour because I don't think burying my opponent in late game card advantage is relevant. They're going to be attacking from weird non-card advantage angles. And I sideboarded in a bit of everything. I got 1 Lost Legacy. I don't really want to draw the card a ton, but it can help stymie some prized amalgams in the late game. Obviously board in the Transgress. I left in the Negate. It handles a lot of weird post-board stuff like discard spells. It handles the Smuggler's Copters. It handles potential Planeswalkers if my opponent goes on the road. It's kind of a decent catch-all. It handles Cathartic Reunions. I'm fine with it being in the deck. I boarded in 1 Dynavolt Tower, which I think in retrospect is kind of stupid because the card gets so much better in multiples in terms of how fast it turns you advantage. So I think I maybe should have had more than just the 1. And I sideboarded in 2 Flaying Tendrils. I didn't want a ton of that card. The reason for that is it doesn't actually hit Amalgam, but it hits or Copter, but it hits the random other stuff. I think that it's possible that I forgot about the interaction where it changes the game rules. So if a prized Amalgam dies that turn, you still exile it. So I think that in retrospect I might have wanted a 3rd, but I'm not 100% because the card doesn't line up perfectly. I also sideboarded in an Essence Extraction. I'm trying to make the games go, or not just like die to a random board flood, extend the games a little bit. So the life gain when I kill something's huge, and it also just kills anything the same way Murder does. It's basically a pure upgrade. Okay, welcome to game 2 with Blue-Black Summoning versus Red-Black Zombies. It's a pretty straightforward keep. It has Summonings. That's the card we kind of need. It's the engine that goes over the top of what they're doing. We're probably anticipating for a land. Lead on Hollow, so we have Anticipate mana. Basically just kind of the stock norm interactive sequencing with our lands. No Reunion, no Copters, really nice for us. And why would we ever do anything with our turn? Drawing the land naturally, very nice. Our opponent's clunker of a hand definitely gives us time to set up, which is really good for this hand. I accidentally... I should not have saved the Anticipate. I should have fired it off. Even with the Tower and the Summonings, it was just kind of a misclick through that. But I kind of get paid off because I have the ability to double spell on my 4th turn, Anticipate, Transgress. So, lucky me. And really doing nothing against the blue-black control deck is not the way you win. This is a pretty straightforward take the land. Don't really want a Lost Legacy. My opponent hasn't established anything. I just want to transgress away something relevant. given this hand, I can take anything. The pretty clear take for me is Distended Mindbender. I can handle a prized amalgam with the cards I have, but Mindbender actually is unique and kind of devastating to the cards I have, if it ever gets cast. So opponent finally draws their land, gets to fire a Haunted Dead. They opt not to overextend into a Flaying Tendrils, which is interesting. I fire the Glimmer. They kill their own Haunted Dead. This lets them activate get Amalgam active and also put the other Haunted Dead in their graveyard, whereas the Disintegration isn't going to really do anything otherwise. The reason the Disintegration is in their deck is probably they just don't have enough sideboard cards for the matchup because it should be inherently good. Here, I scry a land to the bottom, which I believe is a mistake. I think I should have kept both lands because I do want to hit 6 to start casting multiple spells. And I have an untapped, I can play the Estuary untapped and then play the Swamp untapped, so I actually hit the 6 mana in the relevant number of turns. Still rewarded by drawing a land afterwards anyways, but... And so from here, it should be pretty elementary to take over the game. It's just a classic case of I have action and my opponent doesn't have enough pressure to stop my engine. Here I get to transgress. My opponent's going to respond by activating Haunted Dead. And that ruling I mentioned with the Flaying Tendrils changing the rules, I could have fired a Flaying Tendrils here. Yeah, leave my opponent with just lands. Great. Or just land. Get to take their Kaladesh. I could have fired the Tendrils, but I did not for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to use my mana efficiently in Glimmer, and then I can, potentially have 7 mana for Glimmer plus Tendrils the next turn, or really just whatever I want. The Chump Block, I'm only taking 4 damage with this attack, whatever. But realistically, I was unsure if Magic Online would work the appropriate way, so I did not want to risk my Flaying Tendrils and leave my opponent with a prized amalgam. If it didn't, change the rules over the course of the turn. So also the Glimmer creature survives the Flaying Tendrils. So there's just not a lot of cost. Keep the Anticipate, ship the land, draw another Glimmer. Millions and millions of things to do. All my opponent's stuff is gone. And now we get to witness the comedy of Magic Online, which is it applies the... I was like, oh, I don't want to make this play because I don't know if it's going to be bugged. It is bugged in a slightly different way. My opponent discarded a second prized amalgam to the second Haunted Dead in their graveyard, and for some reason, Flaying Tendrils exiled the discarded prized amalgam. I have no clue why. I think I still had the game under control with 4/4s and 3/3s, but who knows? Maybe I would have won the game otherwise. But my opponent tilt concedes in the face of that. And by maybe I would have won the game otherwise, it's actually just pretty obvious I could not lose with the number of cards I'm drawing, the Dynavolt Tower, just every piece of the puzzle just going and going. Yeah, that's kind of interesting that we were able to overcome the red-black deck, which looks like it should be a pretty bad matchup, but I think with the proper aggression and tools might be something the control decks can flip to favor them.